We're about to go live. We have Valley Catholic in Beaverton. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Hello again, everyone. We're going to be doing this virtual farm field trip, and we are live today in Canby, Oregon at TMK Creamery. My name is Mackenzie, and I'll be the moderator for today. Before we get started, I want to go over a few logistics to make sure we have a great experience. We've muted everyone, and we will remain muted throughout the tour so you can hear our guide clearly throughout the day. If you have any questions, you can send them to us using the chat feature. So please only type questions to us in the chat. This will help us see questions and ask as many as possible. It is now my pleasure to introduce our host and tour guide for today's virtual field trip, Mark Kosh, as well as Janet. Take it away, Mark and Janet.
Okay, so my name is Mark. My little niece Janet's gonna actually do the whole milking process for you guys. Right now, we're gonna let Molly in, and she's gonna start the whole thing. So. And so when the cows actually come in, they get grain when they're in here to supplement for their diet. So what Janet's gonna do now is dip each teat with sanitizing water. And then we're gonna wash off legs. Washing off legs, I like cleaner cows, but it actually helps out with hoof health too. So she's gonna wash off hooves and legs real quick. Okay, now we're gonna take a clean rag and dry off her teats really good, clean them off, because whatever's on that teat's actually gonna go in the milk. So we really go after this process, this step in the process is to clean the teats really good. And so Janet, go ahead, from that done.
So Miss
And now we're gonna check the milk. Yeah, what's up?
Miss McBain's class is wondering, is the water that you're spraying her with cold?
Yes. Trust me, the cold water's not gonna hurt them. Their body temp is actually 101, so they run pretty warm. They actually like it. And so the next step, what we're going to do here is we're going to check the milk. So Janet will go through and check each quarter, each teat. She'll do a couple squirts of milk out of it. Check the milk, make sure it looks good. And then she's going to put the machine on. And so this whole process of her getting prepped and getting ready to milk has actually released a hormone called oxytocin, which is milk letdown. So as you notice, she's kind of dropped down her milk. Her teats are full now, and now she's ready to be milked. Janet will put the machine on.
Miss Carpenter would like to know how many cows you have on your farm and why do you clean their legs?
Okay, so the number one, we milk about 18 cows right now. The reason why we clean the legs off is I like cleaner cows. And then the other thing is it helps out with hoof health. It gets the manure off the feet, off the hoof, especially where that skin and the hoof connects right there, that little connection right there. Because as you notice, manure is acidic. It really gets in there and eats. And so if you don't rinse it off, you're going to have problems eventually. And so we always try to wash it off every time we milk twice a day.
And then Miss Alleman's class wants to know, how much milk does the average cow give in a day on your farm? I'll go ahead and answer that while we're stopped here. The average cow produces about 6 to 7 gallons of milk. And these look to be Holsteins, so they're going to produce a little bit more. Holsteins produce about the highest quantity of milk. They give about 9 gallons of milk on average per day. So that's the same as 144 of those 8-ounce school milk cartons that you guys have at your schools. And then we also had another question from Mrs. Rutherford's class. Does it hurt the cows to get milked? And the answer is no. So each cow, while it's getting milked, it feels like a mini massage. And like Mark mentioned, they're each getting like a little pan of grain too while they're getting milked. So it's like a snack and a massage all in one. So it's really, really a good experience for them. And we had another question from Miss Whittaker's 5th grade class. How old do they have to be milked? So in order to start milking, a cow has to first have had a calf. So after the cow has calved and she's had her first baby, that's when she's going to start being milked. So usually you'll see cows bred around 2 years old. And so cows age differently like humans. So sort of like how dogs age differently. Each human year is like 7 years to a dog. Each human year is like 10 years to a cow. So it'd be like they were 20 on their time, on our time. And I'll give you some more fun facts about some Holstein cows. So Holsteins, you see their big black and white spot pattern. Each of those spot patterns is kind of like a fingerprint that we have. So you can identify the cow based off of their spot pattern, which is a really cool fact about them. Like I said, they produce the highest quantity of milk in a day, about 9 gallons each. And then they've been around for a very long time. We started domesticating cows about 60,000 years ago. And you'll see that over time, our milk production has increased greatly due to the genetics we've been breeding for.
You guys back on? Okay. The pod's back.
All right, Mark, we can hear you. So if you want to go ahead and continue with the milking demonstration.
Okay, yeah. So she's about to be done here milking, as you notice. So the flow of milk is pretty much almost stopped. We have automatic takeoff. So we have a sensor on the milk line that senses that and will automatically pull it off. So it shuts the vacuum off and pulls it off. Here we milk about 18 cows. We have 3 different dairy breeds. So we're going to bring another cow in to show you another dairy breed so people can see that. The next breed we have is a Jersey. And then the third breed that we have in the herd is a red and white Holstein. And so here it goes. It's taking it off. And now she's ready to leave. Now we're going to do a post dip. And what this post dip does, it's 1% iodine with moisturizers in it. We're going to dip each teat with it before she leaves the parlor. And what that is protecting is there's a sphincter on the end of the teat. And it stays open for about 45 minutes after milking. And so if we don't do a barrier before she leaves, there's a chance of bugs going up in the udder and causing infection, which is mastitis. And so Jan's going to post dip her real quick.
Miss Watts' class wants to know where you get all your milking equipment from.
We actually have we have, well, all the chemicals and everything come from one company, an IBA guy. And then the milking equipment actually we bought from West Valia rep that was around here. So now Janet's going to let her out. And then Molly is going to go back to the herd, back where she can go eat and start making more milk.
And then Miss Hoop's class is curious, where is your creamery located?
So the creamery is actually located in Canby, Oregon. We're actually right between Canby and Malala is where the property is. The creamery is actually open 3 days a week. Fridays 4 to 7, and then Saturday, Sunday 11 to 4. And so we're actually going to do another breed for you guys. So we're going to bring a Jersey in real quick.
Miss Danella's curious, is it fun milking a cow?
Yes, when they're good cows, yes. That's a lot of fun.
And then Miss Matlock's class is curious if your cows all have names.
Yes, all the cows have names. We actually register all the cows with their own association. So like Holstein has their own association, Jersey does, and then red and white. And so we just prep. Janet's going to get this cow going now. We just did the sanitizing water on her. Now we're going to wash off her leg. So Olivia is a Jersey, just to kind of give you guys a heads up again. And as you notice, the Jerseys are about half the size of a Holstein. And so the average weight of a Jersey is probably right around that 1,100 to 1,200 pounds. Your Holsteins are probably pushing more like 1,700 to 1,800 pounds.
Miss Orem's third grade class wants to know if you have any other breeds of dairy cattle on your dairy other than Holstein and Jersey.
Yes, we have a red and white Holstein. And then we actually have another dairy breed, a brown Swift, but she's not milking yet. She's just a heifer. So now Janet's going to clean her teeth off real quick.
Miss Johnson's class is wondering how long does the whole milking process take?
It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to milk all the cows here. So it doesn't take very long. It takes about 2.5 hours to do all the chores. That's cleaning, milking, feeding, and everything. So now Janet's going to check the milk. Make sure everything looks good.
And then Mrs. Mohet's class is wondering where does the milk go and where is it stored at after the cow's done milking?
Yeah, so when the cow's done milking, all the milk actually goes into a tank in the next room right up here. It goes into a bulk tank and it gets chilled to about 37, 38 degrees. And then every other day we pump over to the creamery. We have a pipeline that goes all the way to the creamery and make cheese or ice cream out of the milk. Now Janet's gonna put the machine on.
Miss P's class is wondering how old the cow you're milking is.
Olivia is 7 years old, and she's had 4 babies, coming with her 5th right now.
And then Mrs. Flynn's third and fourth grade class is wondering how many years will a cow be able to produce milk?
That all varies. We manage each one, especially here, each one different. As long as they can go through the calving process and not have problems, we're going to keep going. But obviously, they got to get pregnant. They got to have a baby to start milking, just like us. Their gestation's 9 months, just like us. And so we really, we're always checking to make sure she can do what she needs to do and not have giant problems. And so our average lifespan of the cows are probably in that, about 6, 7 years of age. I think the national average is 2 lactations, I think, 1.5 lactations, so between 3 and 4 years of age. So,
Awesome. Is there anything else you were going to show us today, Mark? We have about 15 more minutes together.
yeah, we were going to do the red and white Holstein, but Olivia does do a trick. She can actually feed herself, so we need to pay attention. She can actually pull this grain cord. She'll reach through and pull this and feed herself. I think she's gonna do it right now. There she goes. So we had to show that for the kids. So now we're gonna do the red and white. And so Reagan is the red and white one that we have. She'll come in. Now all of you guys have seen the three different dairy breeds now. And so Reagan is 8 years old. She's actually had six babies. She just had her baby in July. Now Jan's going to get her prepped and get her ready to milk. Another thing that I like talking about is the anatomy of the udder too. So the udder, you see Janet dipping each teat. So each teat has its own quarter. There's four quarters to the whole udder. Okay. And so each compartment's separate from each other. So kind of give you a heads up. And then a lot of people see this vein, this bump right here on the belly. That's a milk vein. That's on each side of the cow. It pumps about 300 to 400 gallons of blood per hour through the udder. So, I mean, these girls are machines. They like milking. And as you notice, it doesn't take much to get them in here to get milk. So they want to get milk. And so it kind of relieves them because that built up milk in the udder kind of pressures them and it's uncomfortable. And so as long as we can get them milk every 12 hours, these girls are really happy. Okay, Janet, go ahead.
So Miss Anna's class is wondering if you know why they are called Jersey cows.
That's a good question. I don't know that one.
So for Miss Anna's class, I believe it's because the Jersey cows actually come from an island in the
Well,
British Channel.
they do come from a Jersey island. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
the island is called Jersey, so that's
Yeah.
probably why they're called that. And then another question we had is from the fourth graders at Stanfield, Oregon. How do you clean the tubes and pipes after you milk the cow?
Yeah. So before every milking, we sanitize the whole system. So we have a sink up above that connects the whole system. When we're done, these claws actually flip back down like this. These wash cups go back on right here. That kind of reconnects the whole system. So you can wash the whole system. So we sanitize before each milking. And then after every milking, we rinse the milk out. And then we do a soap, which is a caustic wash. And then we do an acid wash. And then it sits after that. So we're always washing and sanitizing the whole line before milking and after every milking. Okay, Janet, go ahead.
So Miss P's class is wondering, or sorry, David Miller's class wants to know how long you have to wait between milkings.
So ideally, we try to shoot for 7 and 7 on milking here. We're a little bit later just to do this virtual milking for you guys, but usually every 12 hours, some farms actually milk 3 times a day. So every 8 hours they're getting milk. So it's just a matter of what your farm's capable of doing.
And then Miss P's class is wondering, what does your farm make from all the milk you guys produce?
So we take all the milk, and it gets all made into cheese and ice cream. And then the one cool thing is that the byproduct of making cheese is whey. We actually take that whey, leave it, because most creameries will take that whey and make it into whey powder. We actually leave it in liquid form, ferment it, distill it, and make vodka.
Miss Ocha's first grade Sumter at Sumter Elementary is wondering, how many people work on your farm? And then Miss Matlock's class was wondering how many breeds of cow there are. We have 7 common breeds of dairy cows across the state of Oregon. 2 of your more popular ones are going to be the Holsteins and Jerseys. We also have milking shorthorns. We have brown Swiss, red Holsteins. There's Ayrshires, Guernseys, all kinds of different breeds across the United States and especially here in Oregon. And we had another question from Mrs. P's class. Which breeds produce the most amount of milk? Those are going to be your larger breeds. So your Holsteins, they produce a large quantity of milk, about 9 gallons of milk each day. Jerseys produce about 6 to 7 gallons of milk per day, but their milk is really high in butter fat content. So that butter fat is used to make things like cheese and ice cream and yogurt. So each dairy breed has their own like characteristics to their milk that can be incredibly useful. So farmers will use different breeds for different reasons. And Mrs. Broyle's class at Edge wants to ask a question about how you become a dairy princess. So in order to become a dairy princess, you have to be involved in the dairy industry at some point in time. So I'm from Tillamook, Oregon. I grew up around the dairy industry. My father's involved in the dairy industry, and as well as I've worked at places like the Tillamook Creamery. I've shown dairy cows. I participated in the Tillamook FFA chapter. And so we had lots of fun growing up in the dairy industry. And so you get to be a part of it. And then after that, you can run as a dairy princess in your county. And then it looks like Mark is back. So I'll hand things back over to him. Mark, can you hear?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so now we're sitting. That we do is we're going to take the cupcakes.
So we are still having a bit of trouble hearing Mark, but what you see here is cheese that is made from his cows.
There.
The Miss TMK is a single cow cheese, meaning that it only comes from one cow.
At full service.
That sounded better. We could hear. They also have curds, which are delicious if you ever get a chance to stop in and grab some. And we have one more question for Mark, if we can hear him.
Hear me?
Yes, we could hear you that time. What is your favorite part about being a dairy farmer?
It's actually, it started when we were really young. My brother Todd started the whole mess. Got into the check of the house. And from more into the cow than anything. So also use the market for trying to show everybody how try to use everything and for products that we can sell to the consumer. Having a conversation with all of you for TMK. I mean, we want to have that conversation to build that trust back up, show everybody the process. People can show up and help me do everything they want. So, counter is kind of my favorite part. That's why I kind of manage that part. I love sitting at the moment.
Well, thank you, Mark, so much. I know we couldn't hear much, but I encourage you to check out TMK on their website or social media channels to learn more about their story. Thank you so much for bearing with us as we experience some technical difficulties. Just like farmers, we have to go with the flow and troubleshoot when things don't go expected. But we sincerely appreciate you being here today, and we hope you learned something new. Thank you, Mark, for taking some time to talk with students about the dairy industry and TMK Creamery. And if you want to visit their farm in person, we'll be sure to include a link to their site along with a recording from today. Thank you to all the students in the classrooms joining us, and have a great rest of your day.